Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Highly Questionable Marketing. I was going to talk about crypto, but since this is our second recording and nobody knows about the first recording, I'm just going to skip that and go straight into the topic, which is a topic I'm passionate about and I've seen all over LinkedIn, and it's on the idea of A-B testing. Should marketers do it? And I'm going to tell you, I think A-B testing is absolutely one of the worst things. It's for average marketers and it's for terrible marketing leaders. And I'll tell you two reasons why. The terrible marketing leader uses A-B testing to justify what they're doing because they're too afraid to make a stand and they want some stupid data points to justify it, right? So they're like, oh, look, we got more clicks on our ads, or a few more demos came in from that landing page. And then the average marketer uses this because I did it all the time. And yeah, for a while I was average. I would just say, hey, I want to run this campaign. We're going to A-B test it. And everybody goes, oh, well, cool. If you're going to A-B test it, we're all on board and we're going to support that campaign. But there's another thing for A-B testing and why I despise it. Great marketers don't need A-B testing because they're continually learning and making adjustments. That's how I work. Everything that we do at our agency, we learn and we adjust. We don't need A-B tests to do that. And then the other point is, for most B2B SaaS companies, unless you're in high growth and you're at efficiency where you're scaling, you're growing 30, 50, 100%, A-B tests are not going to help you reach your goals. You need to be doing big changes and making big adjustments to find big growth opportunities until you reach account efficiency. And that's the only time in marketing you should be doing A-B testing.
Oh my gosh, Jay, I don't think you could be more wrong. I mean, I think everybody here, I guess this is our second episode. I don't know what number we're on. I like to run marketing like a science. And if you're not using a control, like an A and a B, A is your control, B is your test message, then what are you measuring it against? You're literally measuring it against, okay, you're saying, oh, this will perform. I'm going to do one test at a time, and if it is not successful, then I will discontinue it. Like, how do you determine whether it's successful? Like, you just feel it in your bones?
Shit, I knew you were going to bring up the feelings. I knew it.
Yes, because you see people who are like, oh, I have a feeling that I will have a marketing campaign and I can just feel it in my bones, it'll work. Like, that doesn't work. Like, that isn't friggin' revenue.
Yeah, but you're missing one point, is that great marketers are learning from everything else they've done. So there is data behind what they're doing. They don't need an A-B test to do it. That last campaign I ran, I made adjustments and learned from.
But I think great marketers still need to like judge the data. And in many ways, you are still saying you're A-B testing. You're just A-B testing against your historical, right? You're saying, okay, I have a benchmark that I had before, and I'm doing a new test, and then I'm consistently learning from it. You are literally just saying you are A-B testing, but in a fancier way.
No, I think I'm learning. I'm not A-B tested. I'm not going to give on that. Like, what's really happening when you A-B test, you're not changing enough as well, right? People change a headline and think they're A-B testing. Oh, we have two different images here. We're A-B testing. That image that failed, I guarantee if you go back after 5 tests and rerun it, it's going to win. Then what? You're going to be like, oh, shit, I guess our previous thesis was wrong.
Yes. No, I mean, I've had times where I always like to do 3, oddly A, B, and C. And then I do have losers, and those losers continue to lose. And a lot of times I will test on multiple channels, on LinkedIn or on email, and a lot of times they will confirm learnings. And if they don't, you kind of have to pivot and learn from there, and you learn a little bit more from your audience. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of value to A-B testing and marketing strategy.
Mm. Liz, let me ask you this. Do you at all recognize yourself in any of what Jay said? Because I do. I'll be that honest. Have you at some point acted the way or seen in your organizations people act in the way that Jay described?
I mean, I think that you see leaders that feel like they have the right message all of the time. Like the CEO is like, I feel like this is fantastic messaging, but there's not been any like rigorous data testing around it to ensure it. So yes, I see it. And don't get me wrong, I think we all have ideas of what works. I just think we have to be rigorous around the testing to make sure that those do in fact work.
Here, I'm going to tell you one more thing, and then we should transition. Okay. Oh, Jorgen's got a point, so maybe we'll just keep going a little bit longer.
Don't like that, Jay.
Go ahead, Jorgen. Go ahead.
Look, here's the thing, right? Like, what typically gets A/B tested? Subject lines, ad copy, landing page, headings, images, right? Can be important. a lot of times is very important. And sometimes the incremental growth from learning something little is very valuable to a company, not taking anything away from it. But if you're talking about, let's say, rolling out brand new messaging, let's say you've established a new narrative and you're really hot to try, you're ready to go, A/B testing is not your tactic. Your objective is to validate this messaging, and like changing a word or like dialing it like this, or like, well, look, if there's an A and there's a B, like that's not going to get it done, right? So yes, there are instances where, yeah, I think it's fair to say like A/B testing makes sense, but never on anything that's exponentially valuable. Like it's always on the little shit. And I think where people get tripped up is there's a combination of what Jay's saying, where people are just leaning on it, like, oh yeah, we're gonna A/B test it. Isn't that cool? Oh yeah, that sounds really smart. Yeah, we should do that. It's either that, or it's just like, hey, like guys, like why are we tripping about one image, right? Like we have bigger fish to fry. Like our story isn't even making sense. Like why, it's just kind of leaning in on the wrong thing is what I see, and I've done too, and I've allowed to have happen in my teams.
No, I agree that there's no benefit to testing a red button versus a blue button if your messaging is super janky. But I do think for messaging, if you're rolling out new narrative, like you do need something to compare it to from before. So
yeah, but that's the learnings you got from the previous one. That's the mistake people make.
But that's not
they want something big, and they want data to support it instead of having, right, you did customer research, right? They're like, well, we're going to A/B test that to get data to support it. Like, I doubt Drift A/B tested conversational marketing, right? Like, they might do headline shifts, but they're only doing that at efficiency. And that's kind of like what I'm talking about. Like, there's a time and a place to do A/B testing, and 99% of you marketers are not at that place. And that's the reality. If you're Drift,
if you're
A/B
watching,
test.
you got to keep us honest here.
Like, right.
I bet you tested the ever living F out of conversational marketing before you ran with it. But
maybe we'll find out. Jorgen's the CMO friend or something over there. We don't know. Private sales guy.
I wish I was.
Awesome. Why don't we shift topics here? I think we got another one.
Yeah, man, we sure do. Hey, I saw this post. It was talking about strategy and tactics. I love it when everybody's getting all academic on me. Hey, strategy is this and tactics is this. Make sure you always do strategy before you do tactics. Bullshit, right? Like, I think we probably agree on this one a little bit, but I need to call it out. We need to talk about this stuff. If you are a marketing leader coming into a company saying, I am not going to do anything tactical until I've figured out a strategy, you've already lost. Now, doesn't mean you shouldn't focus intensely on getting the strategy right, having buy-in for your strategy, and then develop programs on the back of it. Of course, you should do that. But if you're not coming in as an experienced marketer with some idea of some tactical things you can do in the near term, I'd be a little bit worried. Not only that, like, come on, we all know that this is like a little bit of both all the time, right? It's always about like, this one feeds this, but this one actually also feeds this, and you got to keep going. It's always moving. So this idea that like, well, academically speaking, I have to tell you that if you do tactics before you do strategy, you're wrong. Sorry to say, whoever posted that, no, not dissing anybody, just disagree. Are we all disagreeing with that, or does somebody have something else for me on it? Am I getting it wrong?
No, I'm gonna agree with you, Jorgen, for the most part. Like, it's interesting. We picked up this topic too, and we first picked it up as what is this even saying, right? Like, what are we talking about here? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
And I agree with you for the most part, which is we do assessments, right, with all of our customers to start, right? But we always go right into tactics while we're building the strategy because we want quick wins, right? Immediately after that assessment, we're like, hey, here's our 9-month roadmap. By the way, we're going to fire up paid search right now, get landing pages going. We're going to get paid social going. We're going to try to find quick wins. We're going to learn from that stuff to help us build on our strategy as we're going. Otherwise, we're going to spend 120 days building a strategy. And then the other shit part is, what if your strategy's wrong? You have no data to inform your strategy instead of, right, doing tactics, not A/B testing them, but to learn from them so that you can build your strategy upon it.
It is all full circle. I think the mark of a great marketer is somebody who is both in strategy and tactics. I can't imagine if I had come into my job and had said, Oh, it'll actually be 3 months. I've got to define some strategy before I bring in any leads, right? Like I would have been out the door, they would have like booted me out. But I think the importance is that if you're going to be a marketer focused on growth, you always have to be focused on the next strategy. So what is the next thing, next area we can grow? What is the next realm of personas or industry or testing that we can grow? At the meantime, optimizing your tactics in your core ICP, right? So I think as a good growth marketer, you're always going to have your hand a little bit in both.
You said something really interesting, Liz, that I really picked up on that I didn't think about now. And I think it's the future leaders of marketing. I don't think we're fully there yet, but they're that blend of strategy and execution, right?
Yeah.
They know how to execute, but they know they have strategy chops to go with it that they can build on. And that's missing in some of the today's CMOs that are maybe towards the cusp of retirement, I guess is the nicest way to say it. But
yeah.
I think that's really interesting to think about. And I actually fully agree with that's becoming the norm. If you're not a strategy and tactical marketer, I think you're going to miss out in the next wave.
I mean, that's such an important point here, right? Because if you don't actually understand the tactics, then your strategy is most likely going to be some shot in the dark, right? Like if you don't actually know how channels work, how people behave in channels, like what kind of strategy are you really going to come up with? So being a practitioner and a strategist at the same time is the thing. Like that's what it is about. And so if you're not doing some tactical stuff to constantly be like smelling this stuff and understanding what's going on and kind of like, yeah, like I get this, and then now I got to maneuver over here, then your strategy is going to be off.
Well, I think the rise of the marketing operations director and VP of marketing, I think for so long, like a brand person was the person who grew up to be a CMO, and now there's so many more operations leaders growing into VP or CMO-ship. And I do think it's actually because being an ops person in your past life, you've been literally like souls to the ground in a lot of your tactics, and even just knowing what works, right? And reporting on them. So, I think that's why you're starting to see really the rise of marketing operations, and those people become like put into leadership positions is because they can balance that strategy and execution and strategy.
Hey, I'm trying to hire a marketing ops person. Let me know if you got somebody. Holy shit, these people are hard to come by.
You cannot steal mine. Mine is fantastic, so don't even think about it.
I'll steal whoever I can steal.
All right, we're going to end highly questionable marketing with a highly questionable job ad at the end. Love it. This was a great discussion. Let's keep it up.
See you later, guys.